Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I hope you liked the introduction to my show because it shows you how many influential and wealthy people I know. And now that Theranos is gone, I have a company myself called Scamalot and a great prototype here today. This is the prototype. This is amazing. You might have seen something like this on a Star Trek, but this is even better because this particular machine, which will only cost about $5 in the drugstore when we get it out to the entire public, this will simply detect disease. And you don't have to get that pinprick that she wanted you to do because that hurts. And some people don't even like that. And this, you just put on your finger and it detects disease and it connects to a huge computer and all the information just comes right back to you through the internet to your own email, so you know what's wrong with you. And so wait a minute, I used the wrong voice. I'm sorry, and I didn't use a lot of buzzwords. So wait a minute, just a minute, please, let me improve that. I am a believer in everyone having access. It's a human right. Everything should be accessible to everyone and not just people who have money. If you're sick, you want advanced technology, but you don't have the money for it? Well, there should be equality of opportunity for all people on the planet. Information should be available to everyone. Everything should be affordable. It's incredible, isn't it? We can do incredible things, and we should honor our ecosystem. But it's creativity with technology and creativity like this that will change the world and change the lives for everyone. It's doing social good. We have new markets we can do social good in. There's empowerment for everyone. And we want trust and control given to the individual, not just to big companies like my own Scamalot, but we'll give it to you, the little people. Did I say that out loud? Oh. We're environmentally friendly. Yes, we'll save the environment while we're making money. Did I say that out loud? We're a green business, and you're going to be green with envy. All right. I just wanted to do that little intro for you because, oh my goodness, let me just leave these off. I don't have to read anything today. Oh, so Elizabeth Holmes she's now been convicted of one of the biggest frauds out there. Just unbelievable that so many people would have theoretically fallen for this fraud. Why would they? Why would these rich, brilliant people fall for frauds like this? Why? Why would everybody get involved? Give her millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why? Well, let me start first of all, how she thinks. The question is she a visionary or is she a psychopath? Some people say sociopath, but I just stay with psychopath. Or is she a visionary and a psychopath? Well, let's see. What did she really want when she started out? She says it herself. She wanted to be rich, very, very rich. She had a vision, all right. Her vision of herself as being one of the wealthiest people on the planet. And she went after that. And one of the reasons she could go after that is not because she actually believed she had the specific, shall we say, knowledge and the technical knowledge, the scientific knowledge to actually do something like this. But she had grandiose thinking. Let's put it that way. Psychopaths have grandiose thinking. It's one thing to have a big ego. Big egos sometimes get you places, but grandiose thinking means you're not at all necessarily realistic about where you're going. And you think you can conquer the entire world. And sometimes that grandiose thinking will allow you to go in that direction because you don't have any particular morals or ethics. You will not stop at anything. You will go for everything, regardless of whether you think you have the right or the ability to even do so. Because she wanted what she wanted, and her vision was to be a millionaire or maybe a billionaire, to be one of the biggest people in the world. The next thing she did was she found a mentor, and her mentors, well, she hooked up with a guy from Pakistan. He's now also going to go to trial because he's a fraud person too. And then he became her boyfriend, or she made him her boyfriend. Who knows how that goes? So she found a guy who'd achieved a lot of ability to make money as her mentor. And she also, probably sucked him dry from everything that she could get out of him to gain what she wanted. She's a good player. And then she found other kinds of mentors. And these are kinds that pretty much anybody who wants to succeed in the world might pick as a mentor. In other words, they may not personally mentor you, but you pick them as your mentor, and you sort of fashion yourself after somebody like Steve Jobs. As you see her black outfit. Oh, I couldn't find a turtleneck, so I just had to make do. She had the black outfit to match his black outfit, and she thought that would give her, a stronger image than if she were in a girly thing or in a little blue blazer or something like that. So she thought this was the way to make it. She also changed her voice, which is fascinating because she's right there in a way as well. Unfortunately, there is something about deep voices which actually lure people in. It's just true. They have that strength. They have the power. They come across as more truthful than when you're talking like this, and somehow it doesn't work as well, unfortunately. So she lowered her voice, and I have a really hard time with the way she lowered her voice because it was absolutely like chalk on a oh no, what is that? Fingernails on a chalkboard. Screechy in a low kind of way. And I found it very painful to listen to. I think I can do a much better deep voice than she could. I don't understand why she didn't work on having a little more beautiful sound to it. But at any rate, she did that, and it was really bizarre in my opinion, but yet didn't it work? Yes, it did, because an awful lot of people went right with her because of the way she dressed, because of the deep voice, and because of her buzzwords, which she said in everything. And most of what she said sounded more like somebody channeling than anything with any kind of true meaning. Because what you do when you channel, by the way, in case you don't understand it, and I'll probably get some really negative responses about people who channel, is supposedly when you're in touch with the other world or with someone who is going to be guiding a guiding spirit or something. They talk through you. And I went out with a couple of girls one night who wanted me to meet this channeler, and she channeled for a while, and they were so impressed. And as we were going home, I said, I'm not impressed. And they said, why not? And I said, because I can do that right now. And as we gather under the tree, we are just small humans, but the tree encompasses us, and it shades us, and it nourishes us, and it allows us to sit in contemplation of the journey ahead. I could go on forever like that. It's nonsense. But if you say enough of the right words, people become enthralled because you're not actually saying anything, truly, but people start picking out what they want to pick out. She learned these techniques, and it is amazing she was able to make it work. And she hooked up with as many rich and influential people as she could. And let me tell you one other thing from my own experience. When I first got into television work, you think I got there because people searched me out and vetted me, that like the television network said, we need a good criminal profiler, and they went and searched for a good one. They found me, and they checked my CV, and they talked to other people and interviewed everyone about how wonderful I was and how skilled I was. No, that's not what happened. Their guest disappeared one day, and they needed an emergency person. And because I lived in Washington, D.C., they Googled me, found my website, called me up and said, can you be in the studio within 30 minutes? Just grab a taxi and we'll pay you back. And I said, okay. And I did that. I got the taxi. I went there, and they threw me in the chair. They mic'd me up, and they said, we're here with criminal profiler Pat Brown. And I said, oh, good evening. And I went right on and answered the questions. The producer left me a message after the show, and she said, you rock, Pat, you rock, because I saved her butt by coming across really well. And do you know what happened right after that? I got phone call after phone call from every one of those networks, all the big networks, MSNBC, CNN, the Today Show, Fox, you name it. I got the phone calls. Nobody ever questioned who I was. I just went right ahead and continued to 3,000 appearances on television. And to this day, I don't think anybody did check my CV. And some people say, well, that's because you're a fraud, Pat Brown. But, I do not believe I am a fraud. And I stand by my background and my studies and my work. But the point being, one person needed somebody that day. They called me and they linked me into this network. That's what she did. She hooked into a network, and people stopped asking whether she had any credibility, whether she really had a product. They didn't even check to see if she had a product. They didn't ask for the particulars. I find it fascinating. Even Walmart got this huge deal with her, not even knowing whether she had a product that was workable. It's absolutely bizarre. And it's almost like a mass psychosis among wealthy and rich people that they all backed her like that. It's just absolutely phenomenal. But it goes to show you a psychopath and their willing sheep, because those sheep that do that, they have a reason they do that. They're not doing that just because they wanted something good for the world. And when the producer called me and wanted me on the show, it wasn't because they wanted a really good criminal profiler. They just needed somebody to fill a seat. And they wanted somebody who could talk well on TV, who was interesting, just somebody who would be good TV material. And they lucked out when they got me, and then they put me on forever after, because their interest is in getting viewers and not so much whether I'm really good at what I do or I was credible. They weren't even concerned about that. So it's fascinating to see that these guys, whoever helped her out, never really cared whether she was credible. And they were doing it because they were trying to bring themselves up in the world. They were trying to, I don't know what they were doing, whether it had things about, putting money into something for tax reasons or because they wanted to be hooked up with the next greatest thing for publicity. I don't know. But when you have people like even Bill Clinton interviewing her, giving her credibility, it's phenomenal. But that's what happens. So yes, do I think she's a psychopath? I do. She exhibits all the behaviors of a psychopath. Was she visionary? She had a vision of making herself rich, and she accomplished that. So give her some credit on that one. Was she a visionary for really doing good for the world? No, she wasn't. And she never got there. Now, it is entirely possible she could have just lucked out. Can you imagine that? She just lucks out and all this technology suddenly kicks in one day and it worked, and then she would just be the biggest hero ever. But chances are it was going to actually happen wasn't very good, because the whole concept, you would think the concept, anybody would look at the concept and say, really? You honestly think this tiny little drop of blood is going to be able to come up with all this information the way you say it will on a tiny little machine? I doubt it. Now, maybe in 100 years, but I doubt it right now. And it's but she sold that idea, and it is quite an amazing thing. So give her credit. She accomplished what she wanted to accomplish, but she finally got caught. So her next vision will be probably of a cell. So, because that's where she's going to be spending some time. And I'm glad the jury came back and found her guilty, at least of 4 of the charges. I don't know what kind of time she's going to get, but I hope she gets a whole heck of a lot, like the full 20 years. That would be great. So anyway, if you ever see this come up on the market in the future, this was wonderful, which is actually just, check my oxygen check because I have COVID right now. But if you ever see this come up in the future, it was my idea. I just want you to remember that. It's my idea. So anyway, thank you very much for being here, and I will see you in another time.